Juwu fixed her eyes on the stars through the small window of her room. She was tired after a long day of work on the ship. As one of the last humans from Earth, she felt alone even when surrounded by many aliens. "Translator Juwu, please report to the command deck," said a voice over the speaker. She sighed and stood up. Her black hair was tied back in a simple knot. At 28 years old, Juwu was young for her important job on the ship called Harmony. She was small compared to most alien races, but her mind was sharp. Earth was gone now. A huge solar flare had burned it 100 years ago. Only a few thousand humans had escaped. Now most aliens saw humans as weak and strange. But they also found humans interesting because humans felt emotions in ways other species did not. Juwu walked quickly through the long hallways of the ship. Other crew members moved out of her way. Some looked at her with wonder, others with doubt. Humans were rare in space. "You wanted to see me, Captain Dansu?" she asked as she entered the command deck. Captain Dansu was a tall alien with blue skin. He turned to face her. "Yes, Juwu. We have received a distress call from planet Astra." Juwu felt a chill. Astra. But that's... Yes, home of the Lumari. Everyone knew about the Lumari. They looked like giant cats that walked on two legs. They were fierce warriors who had never lost a battle. Most ships avoided their territory. "What do they want?" Juwu asked. "That's the strange part," said Dansu. "The message is broken. We only know they need help. And since you can read emotions better than our machines." Juwu knew what he would say next. Her special human ability to understand feelings made her valuable. "You want me to go down to the planet," she said quietly. Dansu nodded. "You're our best chance to understand what's happening. The Lumari have never asked for help before." Juwu looked at the screen showing planet Astra. It was a beautiful world with 2 moons, but she had heard stories about what happened to visitors there. "When do we arrive?" she asked. 2 days, said Dansu. "Get ready. This mission could change everything we know about the Lumari." As Juwu left the command deck, her heart beat faster. She was afraid, but also curious. Why would the mighty Lumari ask for help? And why did she feel that this journey would change her life forever? She returned to her room and touched the small plant she kept, the last rose from Earth. "Give me strength," she whispered. Then she began to pack for the most dangerous mission of her life. The ship Harmony came out of light speed near planet Astra. Juwu stood on the command deck, looking at the blue-green world on the big screen. It looked peaceful from space, but she felt nervous. "No response to our calls," said Officer Mainu, a tall alien with 4 arms. "That's strange. The Lumari always guard their space." Captain Dansu frowned. "Scan the planet." After a few minutes, Mainu looked up with surprise. "Captain, I'm picking up very few life signs. Most cities appear empty." "That can't be right," said Dansu. The Lumari population was in the millions. Juwu felt a chill. Something terrible happened down there. The captain turned to her. "Juwu, I need you on a landing team. If there are survivors, your emotion reading skills will help us understand what happened." Juwu wanted to say no, but she knew her duty. 4 hours later, she sat in a small ship heading down to Astra's surface with 5 security officers. "Stay close to me," said Hyun, the security leader. "Lumari are dangerous, even when asking for help." The ship landed in what used to be a city. Now it was just broken buildings and empty streets. The team stepped out wearing protective suits, just in case. "It's too quiet," whispered Juwu. The city should have been full of the cat-like Lumari, but they saw no one. Their equipment picked up strange readings. "Some kind of disease," said the team doctor after testing the air. "It seems to target only Lumari biology." "A plague?" asked Juwu. "Maybe, but it's odd that it affects only one species." They found a few Lumari hiding in buildings. The huge cat-like aliens were weak and angry. When Juwu tried to speak to them, they hissed and backed away. "They're afraid," said Juwu, "but also full of hate. They think we might have caused this." Just then, their scanner beeped. "Captain, I'm picking up a single life form in the mountains," said Hyun into his communicator. "It's isolated, far from any settlement." "Should we check it out?" asked another team member. Juwu felt something pull her toward that signal, a feeling she couldn't explain. "Yes," she said. "I think that's why we're here." The team took their ship to the mountains. They landed near a cave entrance. Outside, they found strange marks in the dirt. "Footprints," said Hyun. "One Lumari, very large." Juwu took a deep breath. "Let's go in." "Are you sure?" asked Hyun. "This could be a trap." Juwu nodded. "I feel something important waits inside, something that might explain everything." As they entered the dark cave, Juwu heard a low growl that made her skin tingle with fear. Whatever waited in the shadows was watching them, and it was not happy about visitors. The team moved slowly into the dark cave. Their lights showed a tunnel going deep into the mountain. The growl came again, louder this time. "Weapons ready," whispered Hyun. Everyone except Juwu pulled out a gun. The tunnel opened into a large cave room. And there in the corner, they saw him. He was huge, even for a Lumari. Standing on two legs, he was over 3 meters tall. His body was covered in thick fur, mostly golden brown like a mountain lion from old Earth. But what stood out most were his scars. Hundreds of them crossed his powerful body. Some looked like claw marks, others like burn wounds. His face was fierce, with amber eyes that glowed in the dark. "Do not come closer," said Hyun to the team. The Lumari growled again and spoke in his language. The sounds were deep and rough. "Our translators are not working," said one team member. "His dialect must be different." Juwu studied the massive creature. While the others saw danger, she saw something else. In those fierce eyes, she recognized a look she had seen in the eyes of the last humans who escaped Earth. It was the look of someone who had lost everything. "He's suffering," she said quietly. "All Lumari are dangerous," said Hyun. "This one looks like a warrior. Those scars tell of many battles. We should leave." But Juwu could not look away from those eyes. The Lumari stared back at her, his head tilted slightly. "Give me a few minutes with him," she said. "Absolutely not," Hyun replied. "That's against all safety rules." "I think I can communicate with him," Juwu insisted. "There's something different about this one." The Lumari spoke again. This time, he pointed at Juwu and then at himself. "He wants to talk to me," she said. "It's too risky," said Hyun. "Captain Donsu would never approve." Juwu made a quick decision. "Then don't tell him yet. Stay at the cave entrance. Give me 10 minutes. Before Hyun could stop her, Juwu stepped forward. The team shouted at her to come back, but she kept walking toward the massive alien. The Lumari watched her approach. He could kill her with one swipe of his huge claws, but he remained still. When she was 5 steps away, he sat down, making himself less tall. "My name is Juwu," she said, touching her chest. "I'm human." The Lumari looked at her for a long moment. Then he touched his own chest. "Taehyun," he said in a deep, rough voice. It was the first word she understood. His name. Juwu sat down across from him, still keeping some distance. Behind her, she could hear the team arguing about what to do. "We're here to help," she said, knowing he wouldn't understand her words, but she hoped he would feel her meaning. Taehyun reached out one massive clawed hand, palm up. It was a gesture Juwu didn't expect. Slowly, she reached out her much smaller hand and held it above his, not touching. And in that moment, an understanding passed between them. Whatever had happened to his world, Taehyun was not like the other Lumari they had met. And somehow, Juwu knew he was the key to everything. 3 days had passed since they found Taehyun. Captain Donsu was not happy that Juwu had gone close to the Lumari warrior, but he allowed her to keep visiting the cave after seeing that Taehyun was not violent. Ju sat across from Taehyun, trying again to communicate. She had brought a simple drawing pad. "Your people," she said, drawing many cap-like figures. "What happened to them?" Taehyun looked at the drawing. His large eyes showed sadness. He took the pen in his massive hand and drew something that looked like tiny dots in the air. "A sickness?" Ju asked. "A disease." Taehyun nodded. He understood some of her words now. Then he did something surprising. He pointed to himself and made a low sound of pain. "You brought it?" Ju asked, shocked. Taehyun nodded again. He stood up and showed her his many scars. Then he acted out a battle, swinging his arms like he was fighting. "You were a warrior," said Ju. "These scars are from battles." Taehyun touched a large scar across his chest and spoke several words in his language. Though she couldn't understand them, Ju felt pride in his voice. "You were proud of your scars," she said. Each one was a victory. Over the next few hours, through drawings and simple words, Ju learned more. Taehyun had been a great general who led the Lumari in many battles. His people had attacked dozens of other worlds. They had never lost. Until now. Taehyun drew a picture of himself bringing something back from another world. Then he drew his people getting sick. "You brought back the disease," Ju said quietly, "from one of the worlds you attacked." Taehyun's eyes filled with a pain that went beyond physical hurt. He spoke again, and though Ju didn't know the words, she understood their meaning. Guilt. Deep, terrible guilt. When she returned to the ship that evening, she went straight to Captain Dansu. "It wasn't a natural disease," she reported. "It was made on purpose, a weapon created by the planets that the Lumari had attacked. It only affects Lumari biology." "That explains why our team is safe," said the captain. "Taehyun was their greatest general," Ju continued. "He led the attack on the world where they got this weapon. He was the first to bring it back to Astra. And now he's hiding in shame," said Dansu. "Understanding. Yes, he's already infected, but he stays away from the others. Not because he fears the disease, but because he feels responsible for it." "Can we help them?" asked the captain. "Our doctors are trying," said Ju. "But this disease was made to kill Lumari. It's very hard to stop." "Why do you keep going back to him?" Dansu asked. Ju thought for a moment. "Because in his eyes, I see something new for a Lumari. Something they've never shown before." "What's that?" "Regret," said Ju. "And maybe, if we're lucky, the beginning of change." A week passed. The ship doctors worked hard to find a cure for the Lumari disease, but had little success. Meanwhile, Ju visited Taehyun every day. She brought him food and medicine, though the medicine did not help much. "Your language has words we do not," said Taehyun in broken ship speak. He was learning fast. "What words?" asked Ju. "Words for inside pain," he said, putting a clawed hand to his chest. "Not body pain. Other pain." "Emotional pain," said Ju. "Like guilt, regret, shame." Taehyun looked confused. "These words, what mean?" Ju thought about how to explain. "Guilt is when you feel bad because you did something wrong. Regret is wishing you had done something different. Shame is feeling bad about who you are." Taehyun's large eyes blinked slowly. "Lumari do not have these feelings." "I think you do now," said Ju gently. "That's why you stay away from others." "How did humans survive?" asked Taehyun suddenly. "Your world died too." Ju was surprised by his question. "We nearly didn't survive. Only a few thousand escaped Earth, but we didn't seek revenge when our world died. We focused on building something new." "No revenge." Taehyun seemed shocked. "If someone hurt Lumari, we always fight back. Make them pay." "And where has that led your people?" Ju asked. Taehyun looked down at his scarred hands. "To end." They sat in silence for a while. Ju felt frustrated by the language barrier. There was so much more she wanted to explain. Then she had an idea. She took a deep breath and began to sing. It was an old lullaby her grandmother had taught her, a song about loss, but also about hope for tomorrow. Taehyun froze. His whole body went still, and his ears turned toward her. Lou Mary had excellent hearing, but they had never developed music. The concept was new to them. When Ju finished singing, Taehyun stared at her in wonder. "What was that?" he asked. "It's called singing. It's a human art. We use it to express feelings that are hard to put into words." "Do again," said Taehyun. Ju sang another song, this one about finding light in darkness. As she sang, she noticed Taehyun's breathing change. It became deeper, more relaxed. When she stopped, he spoke softly. "It makes strange feeling here." He touched his chest again. "What kind of feeling?" Ju asked. "Like sky opening after storm. Like," he struggled for words, "like new path where was no path." Ju smiled. "We call that hope." That evening, when she reported to Captain Donsu, Ju was excited. "I think music might be a way to help them," she said. "When I sang, Taehyun responded in a way I've never seen before. If the Lumari can learn to process emotions through music, it might change how they think about everything." "That's a big leap," Ju said the captain. "From a song to changing an entire species." "Maybe," said Ju. "But right now, it's the only chance they have." 2 weeks had passed since Ju first sang to Taehyun. Now singing was part of their daily meetings. She taught him old earth songs about sorrow, joy, and everything in between. The ship doctors began to notice something strange. "His body is fighting the disease better than before," said Dr. Minji, looking at test results. "It makes no sense. The treatment isn't working for other Lumari, but Taehyun is improving." Ju had a theory. "I think it's the music. It's changing something in him." Dr. Minji looked doubtful. "Music can't fight a disease." "Maybe not directly," said Ju. "But what if emotions affect Lumari biology in ways we don't understand?" That day, Ju decided to try something new. She brought recordings of Earth's greatest songs, sad songs that told stories of loss and pain, but also of healing and moving forward. Taehyun sat very still as she played the music. His large ears twitched at the different sounds. Ju watched his face closely. "This song," she explained, "is about someone who lost everything but found a reason to live again." Taehyun closed his eyes. His breathing changed as he listened. "I see them," he said suddenly. "The worlds we destroyed. The people who died." Ju stayed quiet, letting him speak. "Lumari never think about after battle. Only winning. Never what we break." His voice grew rough. "I led many battles. Many victories. Many scars to show strength." He touched a large scar on his face. "This from fight with Zolan warriors. I killed hundreds. Was proud." The music reached a powerful moment, a woman's voice rising in a cry of both pain and hope. Taehyun's body trembled. "Now I understand what we did," he whispered. "Now I feel heavy here." He pressed his hand to his chest. And then it happened. A small drop of water formed in the corner of Taehyun's right eye. It grew larger, then slowly ran down his furry cheek. Ju gasped. "Taehyun, you're crying." "Crying?" he asked, touching the wet spot on his face. He looked confused and a little afraid. "It's a tear," Ju explained. "Humans cry when they feel strong emotions. But Lumari shouldn't be able to cry." She knew that Lumari evolved from desert creatures. Their bodies saved every drop of water. Crying was not something their bodies could do. "This never happened before," said Taehyun, still touching his face in wonder. Ju called Dr. Minji immediately. The doctor was amazed. "His brain chemistry is changing," she said after scanning Taehyun. "The music and emotional processing are creating new pathways in his brain, and somehow it's affecting his physical body too. The disease, Ju began, is still there, but not spreading as fast, said Dr. Minji. Whatever is happening to him is helping him fight it. That night, Ju could not sleep. She kept thinking about that single tear. If music and emotions could change Taehyun so deeply that his body did something impossible, could it save all the Lumari? And if it could save them, could it also change them? Ju woke early the next morning with a new idea. She went straight to Dr. Minji. I want to try something with Taehyun, she said. The tear shows his brain is changing. What if emotions are the key to fighting the disease? Dr. Minji looked unsure. We don't have time for guesses, Ju. Most Lumari will die within weeks. Just let me try, Ju pleaded. The regular medicine isn't working anyway. The doctor finally agreed. Captain Donsu was harder to convince. This sounds like wishful thinking, he said. Emotions can't cure a disease made to kill their kind. The disease was made to attack Lumari biology, Ju argued. But what if Taehyun's biology is changing because of the emotions he's feeling? Emotions the other Lumari never had before. The captain sighed. You have 3 days to show results. Then we need to try something else. Ju rushed to Taehyun's cave. He looked better than before, though still sick. I have an idea, she told him. We need to help your people feel what you're feeling. Taehyun seemed worried. Other Lumari will not understand. They know only victory and battle. Then we need to teach them, said Ju. We'll start with you. She began a new kind of lesson. First, she played music that made Taehyun feel strong emotions. Then, she told him stories of Earth's darkest times and how humans found ways to forgive and rebuild instead of seeking revenge. After Earth burned, we could have attacked other worlds, she explained. We could have tried to take their planets. Instead, we asked for help. We found new ways to live. Day by day, Taehyun's understanding grew. More tears came. He began to speak of his past with new words, with regret, with shame, but also with hope for change. Dr. Minji monitored his health closely. The disease is definitely slowing, she reported. His body is creating new cells that fight the infection. It's like his immune system changed. On the 3rd day, Ju met with Captain Donsu. I think the disease targets something in Lumari biology that's connected to their lack of complex emotions, she said. When Taehyun began to feel regret and empathy, his body changed in ways that fight the disease. Can we prove this? Asked the captain. We need to find other Lumari willing to try, said Ju. Taehyun says he can help. The captain looked doubtful. Will other Lumari listen to him? He brought the disease to them. That's exactly why they might listen, said Ju. He was their greatest warrior. If he can change, maybe they can too. They decided to bring a small group of sick Lumari to the ship. Taehyun would meet them in a special room. Ju prepared recordings of music and stories that had affected Taehyun most deeply. This may not work, Taehyun warned as they waited. Change is hard. Ju nodded. But sometimes, when everything seems lost, change is the only way to survive. Word spread quickly that some Lumari were getting better. After 3 weeks of music and story sessions, 20 Lumari showed signs of recovery. Their tears, impossible before, had become common. But not everyone was happy about this news. Captain Donsu received a message from the Galactic Council. They would arrive on the Harmony in 1 day to discuss the situation. They're worried, Donsu told Ju. Many planets fear the Lumari. If they survive, what will stop them from attacking again? Ju had thought about this too. But they're changing. Taehyun is proof. One changed Lumari doesn't mean they all will, said Donsu. The council wants to know if saving them is safe for everyone else. The next day, representatives from 12 worlds arrived. They gathered in the large meeting room on the Harmony. Ju stood next to Captain Donsu, feeling nervous. A tall blue alien named Lori spoke first. For years, The Lumari have attacked our worlds. They never showed mercy. They never asked for peace. Why should we save them now? Others nodded in agreement. Because they can change, said Juwu. The music and stories are helping them develop emotions they never had before. Pretty songs won't erase years of war, said another representative. Once they recover, they'll attack again. It's their nature. The debate grew heated. Some wanted to help the Lumari. Others thought letting them die would make the galaxy safer. We should vote, said Lori. Either we help them find a cure, or we leave this planet and let nature take its course. Just then, the door opened. Taehyun walked in. Though still weak, he stood tall. The room went silent. Many representatives reached for weapons. I wish to speak, said Taehyun in clear ship speak. Everyone was surprised. No one knew he could speak their language now. Captain Donsu looked unsure, but nodded. Go ahead. Taehyun looked around the room. I was greatest Lumari general. I led attacks on 6 of your worlds. He pointed to different representatives. I took pride in killing. I collected scars as trophies. The room remained silent. Then I brought death to my own people. Taehyun's voice grew softer. And a small human showed me what I never knew. Showed me to feel the pain of others. Showed me to weep. A tear ran down his scared face. Many gasped. Lumari never had word for sorry. Never had word for peace. Taehyun bowed his head. I learned these words now. Too late for many, but not too late for those who remain. He looked up again. If you save us, I promise we will change. No more war. No more killing. We will learn new ways. How can we trust this promise? Asked Lori. You cannot, said Taehyun simply. Trust must be earned. But I ask for chance to earn it. The room was quiet again. Then one representative stood up. I vote we help them, she said. Slowly, others stood too. The vote was not unanimous, but most agreed. They would help find a cure for the Lumari. 5 years had passed since the day Taehyun spoke to the Galactic Council. Juwu stood on a balcony, looking over the new Lumari city. It was beautiful, with tall buildings that caught the light of the 2 moons. So much had changed. The treatment Juwu and Dr. Minji created had saved thousands of Lumari. Music and stories, combined with medicine, helped them develop the emotional pathways they needed to fight the disease. But the changes went far deeper than just survival. Thinking about the old days, asked a deep voice behind her. Juwu turned to see Taehyun. Though his body still carried hundreds of scars, he stood differently now. There was a gentleness to him that had once seemed impossible. Just remembering where we started, she said with a smile. Taehyun nodded. Today is important. The last group joins the Alliance. The Galactic Alliance had been slow to trust the Lumari. Each year, they allowed a small group to join. Today, the final group would take their place, making all Lumari official members. Your speech is ready, Juwu asked. Yes, though I still feel nervous, admitted Taehyun. Even after 5 years, it was still surprising to hear a Lumari talk about feelings so openly. They walked together to the Great Hall. It was filled with people from many worlds. At the front stood Captain Donsu, now Admiral Donsu, leader of the Alliance fleet. Welcome, said the Admiral as Taehyun and Juwu approached. A historic day. Taehyun nodded. One I never thought to see. When everyone was seated, Taehyun walked to the center of the stage. He looked out at the crowd, took a deep breath, and began to sing. The room went silent. His deep voice filled the space with an old Earth song of peace that Juwu had taught him years ago. When he finished, many had tears in their eyes, not just the Lumari. 5 years ago, I stood before you as an enemy, Taehyun said. Today, I stand as a friend. The Lumari were once known only for war. Now we hope to be known for other things. He gestured to the side, where a group of young Lumari waited. They stepped forward, each carrying something. Some held art they had created. Others showed tools they had invented. One displayed plans for a ship meant not for war, but for exploration. "We have learned that there is more strength in building than in destroying," said Tae-yun. "We have learned that tears can heal what weapons cannot." After the ceremony, Ju-woo walked with Tae-yun through the city. In the center plaza stood a new statue. It showed a small human female singing to a massive, scared feline figure. "Do you ever miss Earth?" Tae-yun asked. Ju-woo thought for a moment. "Sometimes, but Earth taught us that home isn't just a place. It's the people you choose to walk beside." Tae-yun nodded. "Then I am glad you chose to walk beside us." As night fell, the 2 moons of Astra rose in the sky. All across the city, Lumari and visitors from other worlds gathered together. And in the quiet evening air, a new sound could be heard, the sound of songs spreading across the stars.